I'm gonna react to the tragic story of DMX. You know, DMX the legend.
Max was a legend in the rap game, but his life was full of violence, addiction, and loss. From sleeping in the streets and robbing 3 people a day to selling millions of records and losing it all, this is his wild and tragic story. Nobody's sure where DMX was actually born, but he came up in Yonkers. A lot of rappers come from tough situations, but
Jabu. Jabu was wild skinny back then, bro. He was mad skinny.
compared to DMX, their lives look like a dream. His dad moved to Philly and never came back, so DMX was left alone with his mom, and everything turned into a nightmare. He had severe asthma as a kid and had to be taken to the emergency room all the time because he would wake up and not be able to breathe. The medical issues were bad, but it was nothing compared to what his mom and her boyfriends did to him. DMX slept on the floor with mice and roaches crawling all over him as a kid, and he didn't have anyone around to take care of him. His mom and her boyfriends would constantly beat him, and when he was 6, his mom knocked out 2 of his teeth with a broom handle. His aunt got him drunk for the first time when he was just 7, and not before long, DMX started taking all of his pain out.
DMX didn't really come from DMX didn't really came from a good family, you know. That's trauma. He had trauma.
Other people. He started throwing chairs at teachers in school and even stabbed another kid in the face with a pencil. The abuse at home just got worse, and one time his mom locked DMX in his room for an entire summer. By the time he was 10, DMX had been expelled from school, and his mom sent him to a children's home for 18 months. She brought him to the group home and made him think that she was just checking it out. But when they got there, DMX's mom betrayed him again and left him in the home. DMX said that right then, I learned to pull away, conceal, and bury whatever bothered me. The other side of me was born there. Being tricked into the group home only made the situation worse. And a few months later, DMX and another kid were arrested for arson after they almost burned the school down. He claimed that he just wanted to see if the flames would turn blue. But then DMX almost killed the other kid and was kept away from everyone else. DMX finally made it out of the group home, but he knew that he never wanted to go back to his mom's place. He started sleeping on the streets and making friends with stray dogs. Not long after,
Dogs. This nigga made friends with dogs. Wow.
his mom found out what he was going through and sent him to another group home. This time was different though. DMX met other kids from New York who loved hip hop and started performing for them. One of the teachers at the school told him to keep going with the music, and when he came back home, everything started to change. Even before he started writing bars, DMX was always good at beatboxing. And when he came back home, he linked up with a local rapper named Reddy Ron who loved his beatboxing skills. Ron was the first artist who told DMX to take rap seriously, but he also might be responsible for getting DMX addicted to crack at just 14. According to DMX, Ron handed him a lace blunt, and that's when his lifetime drug addiction really started. DMX was also a great athlete and was the second fastest on the varsity team as a freshman. Winning races wasn't going to get him paid though, so he ditched the sports and put both feet in the trenches. He had a gun and a dog, and he used both of them to start robbing people. The first time he snatched a woman's purse and got 1K in cash, DMX bought a leather collar for his dog and a pair of Timbs for himself. And after that, robbing became like a full-time job. DMX was robbing 3 people a day. He'd follow other kids in the morning before school and find one. Then he'd find someone else to jack in the afternoon after school, and one more at night. The cops ended up killing his dog, and DMX started stealing cars. And after the cops booked him for stealing a whip in the Hamptons, he got put into solitary confinement for the first time. He had already been in and out of jail, but getting stuck in solitary was way different. Solitary can really wreck your mind, but DMX said all of the abuse he went through before helped prepare him for it, and he ended up taking his pen game to a new level. In his autobiography, he said, I produced pages of lyrics alone in that box. I shifted flows, changed styles, tried to experiment with new ways to win a battle or excite a crowd. DMX spent the next 4 years going to jail, getting out and winning rap battles, then going back in for robbing people. He didn't stay free for long, but everyone in the city knew how much potential he had. In '88, he linked up with another New York rapper named K Solo and started recording his first mixtape to sell on the street. He dropped a demo tape a few years later, and in '91, the Source magazine featured him in its unsigned hype column, which put the spotlight on the best rappers in the game who didn't have a label deal. The mixtapes he sold on the street had his name buzzing all over the city, and after the Source wrote about him, it didn't take long for DMX to get a deal with Rough House Records. He dropped his debut single, Born Loser, and from the jump, he let everyone know about his rough come up. On the track, he said, No time for laughter, this shit's for real. Ribs were showing through my back because I haven't had a meal. In about a week, you could see my bones in my hands. The raccoons beat me to the garbage cans. Right when it looked like he was about to break through, DMX had another setback. Rap fans knew he was on another level, but the single didn't rack up a lot of sales, so Rough House dropped him from the label. For the next 5 years, DMX was in and out of jail and getting deeper into drugs. The dudes who started Rough House Records left New York and went to Baltimore, and eventually they found DMX strung out in a crack house and brought him to Baltimore with them. He stayed in stash houses with his dog and wrote raps using candles for light. Then he would go out and destroy other artists in rap battles. DMX traveled all over and crushed everyone, and it almost got him a deal with Suge Knight at Death Row Records. Unfortunately, the contract didn't work out though, so DMX went back to robbing. One time a teenager had his jacket stolen, and the family thought DMX was behind it. So they hunted him down and beat him up so badly that he had to spend 2 weeks in the hospital and had his jaw wired shut. At that point, it looked like DMX would never escape the streets. He had been trying to break into the industry for years, but it never worked out even though everyone knew how skilled and unique he was. But while he was still recovering from the beating, everything changed. Irv Gotti convinced the president of Def Jam to go watch DMX in the studio. He still had wires in his jaw, but he laid down such a wild performance that it earned him a Def Jam deal basically on the spot. And what went down next is one of the most legendary runs in the history of the rap game. DMX spent 2 years working on his first album, but before it dropped, he already had his name booked.
That's hard work and dedication that DMX had, you know.
Different features with dudes like Mace and LL Cool J. When DMX dropped It's Dark and Hell Is Hot in '98, it debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 chart and racked up millions of sales. Having your first album pop off like that is crazy, but what he did next made history. Just a few months later, DMX dropped his second album of the year, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, and went platinum again. He became the first living rapper to go platinum twice in the same year, but he was still just getting started. 1 year later, he dropped And Then There Was X and debuted at #1 for the 3rd time in a row. He picked up 2 Grammy nominations and went 6 times platinum. DMX had completely taken over the game, but his past was still coming back to haunt him. He went back to jail a few more times for drugs, animal cruelty, and driving without a license, even though he was one of the biggest artists in the world. He got back in the booth and dropped another #1 record in 2001, but he still couldn't stay out of trouble. In 2002, he pleaded guilty to animal cruelty, disorderly conduct, and drug paraphernalia charges. He got lucky and didn't end up back in jail though. And the next year, he made history again when he dropped his 5th album and became the only rapper to debut at #1 with their first 5 records. DMX has cemented his status as a legend, but unfortunately, all of the success didn't help him escape his problems. After his 5 #1 albums, everything fell apart and he only dropped.
Well, yeah, speaking of DMX, right? Yo, I remember that he was on that show, like the couple therapy reality show. But he was in that show, right? With his wife and also other like celebrities in reality TV shows like Angelina, like from Jersey Shore and all that. I remember like him and his wife was having problems. I was watching couples therapy, VH1. Y'all remember? Let me know if y'all remember.
2 more projects before he died in 2021. He was constantly getting locked up, and by the end of his life, DMX had been arrested 30 times. He could never shake the drug addiction either, and in 2016, he almost died in a hotel parking lot but was saved by first responders. DMX racked up millions from the rap game, but he lost it all and filed for bankruptcy 3 different times. One of the biggest expenses he had was his kids. He was the father of at least 17 kids with 11 different women. And
damn, my son has 17 kids. More than NBA Youngboy, bro. He has 17 kids, more than NBA Youngboy, bro. I think NBA Youngboy has 11, 10 kids or something. DMX got 17 kids. And I think they're more than they can as well too. But he dad got more kids than NBA Youngboy. He got 17 kids. He got mad kids.
child support payments definitely helped empty his pockets. At one point, he was the hottest rapper in the game, but unfortunately, DMX never really got the help he needed, and everything went downhill at a crazy pace. Fans were always hoping he would get better, but then in 2021, he suffered a massive heart attack and went into a coma. For a few days, there was still hope he would make it out, but on April 9th, he was pronounced dead at 50 years old. DMX paved the way for an entire new wave of raw street rappers to make it in the industry. And some of the tracks he released 2 decades ago are still being bumped today. He fought his way out of a brutal life and took over the game, but tragically, he still never found a way to move on from his past. And
Okay, that's the vid. So yeah, let me know what y'all think, bro. Like I said earlier in the video, like DMX is a legend. He's an all-time great. Um, rest, rest in peace to DMX. And tell me what is your favorite DMX song. Tell me what is your favorite album of his. Okay, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the vibes. WavyOcho checking out you are.